All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. My name is Eric Paulzine with 9 to 5 Sports. Going to be getting into the Week 5 stacks. Now, I can't promise that we're going to do another good stacking video, okay? Last week was pretty awesome with the Detroit Seahawks stack that I kind of laid out for you. A majority of that stack ended up being in the Millie Maker lineup, so I hope some of you guys entered that. I know 2 weeks ago with the Miami-Baltimore stack, that was pretty profitable as well. So, I can't guarantee that, guys. Okay, so we're going to go through the process. Hopefully, we can hit on some good stacks. It's not as easy this week. Okay, it's not as obvious this week, so we're going to have to earn it. Okay, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to give me a like and subscribe. That does out the channel a lot. But without further ado, guys, let's get into the stacks. So we are going to be looking at the stacking report as always, just to start off with. So I'm going to click through and go game by game, highlight the ones that we need to be on for the main slate. All right, so the top stack on the main slate is going to be kind of the same one that we've seen for a while now, the Philadelphia Eagles one. You got AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, and Miles Sanders, okay? And once again, the stacking report is just targeting the QB1, the receiver number 1, the RB1, and the tight end number 1. Maybe next week I will have another version of it where it goes QB, receiver 1, and receiver 2. Maybe, we'll see. But just right now, this gives us a good kind of base of where we want to start. And then from there, we kind of know where we can go. This sets the expectation. This sets the stage. So looking at right now, yes, the Eagle stack has been one where it does make a lot of sense. Then from there, the Baltimore stack, that actually makes some sense as well. You look at Lamar Jackson, obviously been a stud. You look at J.K. Dobbins. He finally had a good game last week. I shouldn't say finally, he's just been injured, but you get it. Mark Andrews, one of the top tight ends, obviously. And then Rashad Bateman, that has a pretty high floor there. From there, we're looking at Detroit once again. That's if St. Brown plays. DeAndre Swift is out, so that'll be Jamal Williams. From there, Knox, Devin Singletary, Josh Allen, and Stephon Diggs, which I actually really like there, guys. So here, let's just go through projected value. Just get through this real quick. The best value, and I do agree with this somewhat, whether you want it to be Stevenson or Harris, that's up to you guys. Running back wise, I think they're both quality plays on this slate. You go with either one of them. Then you got Hunter Henry right there. With Jonnu Smith out, he could be someone that, has some value. And if the running game can't score a touchdown in the red zone, I think they will, but most likely Hunter Henry would be the beneficiary there. Jacoby Myers, if he's active, makes sense as a value play. And then Mac Jones, he is inactive. That would be Bailey Zappi. From there, this is going to be a stack that you guys will see that I like a lot. Projected value-wise, it's the second best on the main slate, 4th overall this week. We got Antonio Gibson, and you don't have to play him, but you got Carson Wentz, Logan Thomas, and Terry McLaurin. So I think that is going to be a stack that you could easily go with. I like that stack a lot. And then let's just go based off of ownership leverage rank. Which one is the best in that sense? The lowest owned stack that also is, a solid stack would be that Baltimore stack. And we're looking at the Detroit stack. And one that's popping up there, which I'm surprised by, would be the Bengals stack. Interesting stuff there. I did not see that coming. Then we got Washington there again. So Washington, we'll start off with then for a game stack, highlighting the plays that I like for that stack. So part of the reason why I loved the Detroit-Seattle stack from last week was that it was super easy to make a stack off of that game. It was a game that you knew you wanted to attack, and all the pieces came together very well in which you could fit all the players that would contribute for that game into one build. You can kind of get close to that by stacking this Titans-Washington game. Now, both of them have been poor against the pass. Both of them have been defenses that we've been targeting in the passing game. Okay, so this could be a higher scoring game. Although Vegas doesn't see it that way. I think Vegas could be wrong. This would be a game in which you could bet the over on. Maybe Vegas thinks that the Titans try to get Derrick Henry going, but Washington's pretty good against the run. And Derrick Henry will probably get some manufactured touches in the air in the passing game, but I think this is a good game that we can attack stacking wise. So looking at it, quarterback wise, like Ryan Tannehill, I'm perfectly fine with. He should be a safe play, but I actually like going with Carson Wentz, the Washington side of it. Carson Wentz has thrown the ball over 40 times in 4 straight games thus far this season. In his easiest matchup of the year, going against Detroit, he threw for 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Okay. He did have a fumble, whatever, but he did have 31 DK points. Okay. Going against the Tennessee Titans, a very similar matchup. I think he could easily get to 20 DK points in this one, and that's not asking much. He could easily be the highest scorer on the slate, and it wouldn't shock anyone given the matchup, given how much he's been producing in 2 out of the 4 weeks. Okay. Now the last 2 weeks, he struggled. The Eagles are a good defense. Dallas is a little bit better of a defense than we thought, but stacking-wise, he makes a lot of sense. Then from there, obviously, Soren, McLaurin, whatever. What's the nickname that you guys gave him? I'm curious. Which one do you guys use? Let me know in the comment section below. I need to know which one I should use because he has like 4 and it's annoying. All right. F1, I don't know. But he is someone that should benefit with Jahan Dotson being out. Okay. He saw 6 targets last week against Dallas. Didn't do much with it. That was his worst game of the year thus far. In the previous games, he had been productive, although he's only caught 6 receptions in a game. That's his highest reception amount. So we want that to be higher. He's not like a lock and load, but at 6.2, I'm fine taking that risk, especially in a stack. He is someone that could easily go for 20 DK points, and it wouldn't shock me, especially if Carson Wentz is. And then you also have Curtis Samuel in that game as well. Curtis Samuel kind of been the focal point of that offense thus far. Struggled a little bit last week, only scoring 7.8 DK points, but that's keeping his price point down. Okay. Besides that, he had been highly productive. Was a little bit bothered with an injury earlier on this week. We don't have to worry about that. Curtis Samuel going to make for a great piece of a stack. And then from there, Robert Woods, if you want to run it back with Tennessee Titans wise, I like that a lot. He's a great run it back play because, Treylon Burks is going to be out. So that should force them into playing Woods a little bit more than 75% of the snaps, which is what he's been playing. I think those targets will go up then as a result as well. Robert Woods at 5.2 makes a lot of sense. And then you could even go Logan Thomas there as well. Gets a good matchup in this game. 6 targets last week, 5 targets in week 2. 6 targets in week 1. Like the targets have somewhat been there, except for that Philadelphia game. He just needs a touchdown. He needs a little bit more receptions, but at 3.2, if you're trying to game stack, that's a stack that makes a lot of sense. And you could even play Derrick Henry in this game. He is kind of chalky, so, it could be an approach that you go with. But this is a solid stack. You still have a lot of salary left over to pay for whichever running back or flex play you want. And you can make a great build doing that. A quick stack that I like would be going with Tom Brady. Simple. He's got a decent matchup, his second best matchup of the year thus far. I do think that like divorce stuff that was going on, I think that's more in the past now rather than the present. I think that could be why he was struggling a little bit in those first couple of weeks. Plus, his weapons were all banged up, okay? So he's going to get his weapons back, and I mean Chris Godwin. Mike Evans might struggle. AJ Terrell has been a pretty good shutdown corner, so maybe Mike Evans struggle, although you could easily play him. And then you could go with Cade Otton, who's a decent value play tight end with Cameron Braid out. I kind of expect him to step up. And now you got yourself a nice starting point for a stack here. I don't mind this. This should be a decent stack. One of my favorite kind of low owned stacks on this slate, and this is one, we benefited from previous games before, was the Miami side of it. I'm actually going to go the Jets side of it. Now, I do want to caution you a little bit, okay? Because although the matchup for Zach Wilson says it's 32, it's really not. We kind of know that. So the Miami Dolphins have won against Joe Burrow, who I would say the Bengals are a pretty comparable team to the Jets, especially like stylistically with the players that they have. 3 really strong receivers. If you combine Breece Hall and Michael Carter, they got a really strong running back as well. A quarterback that's the difference there is the quarterback play. Joe Burrow is really good. Miami won against Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and also Lamar Jackson. Like that's why they're struggling defensively, ranking wise there. So it's not that easy of a matchup. I would say they're about easy. It's an easy matchup, but it's not as elite as it looks, okay? But still, Zach Wilson scored 20 DK points last week. Some of that was in the passing game. Some of that was in the reception. Scored a touchdown in the receiving game. Like, that's not going to happen again. But, he did look a lot better than the stats say. And I do love his passing weapons, and I do love this game. This game could be a high over and under. You get Zach Wilson at 5.3, stack him with 2 of his pass catchers, whether that be Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. Like, I would choose those 2 the most because it just seems like Corey Davis is due to have a bad game somewhat, because he's had 3 out of 4 pretty awesome games, especially given his price point. So I could see that going down a little bit. And then you could easily fit in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill as well. I like that approach. And then you could even go Tyler Conklin to run it back with there. You're getting all the key pieces in this game. And if you wanted to take it a step further, Raheem Mostert, potentially he could score a touchdown too. Maybe they lean on the run a little bit more with the backup quarterback and Teddy Bridgewater in there as well. And if you want to, I don't hate the idea of going with Teddy instead of Zach Wilson, but this is a nice solid stack. The biggest issue with this one is like you have too much salary left over, like you don't have to play Mostert. Maybe you pay for a different running back or whatnot, because you do have too much salary left over. So the Chargers versus the Browns, I do like stacking the Chargers. Justin Herbert has been pretty solid in all 4 games thus far this season. Obviously, he was dealing with the rib injuries against the Jaguars. That's why he struggled. Let's just take that game out. 3 straight games of over 20 DK points. He's averaging 22.4 DK points, even including that game. At 7.1, that's a decent price point. You could even throw an Austin Eckler into the stack going against the Cleveland Browns, who literally made Caleb Huntley and Avery Williams Tyler Algier looked like stud running backs last week, okay? Cordero Patterson had a great game. All 4 Falcons running backs had a great game against the Browns last week. Austin Eckler did struggle for 2 drives to start the game against the Texans, who are terrible against the run, but then he figured it out, and then it clicked, and then he went off. Okay, he could have a solid game again. And with Keenan Allen out, those targets should continue to be there like they have been. So I like Austin Eckler a lot there. And then you could even go Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams would be a great play. I think he's going to get targeted a ton. He probably will have a little bit of Denzel Ward matched up against him, but he should be a solid stacking play as well. And then we got to watch out for Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer was a little bit banged up. It seemed like he left the game for the whole third quarter with a little bit of an ankle injury, which it seems like he's currently dealing with as well. He's currently questionable. If he does sit, Michael Bandy is a pretty awesome value play. The preseason stud. He came in and filled in for Josh Palmer for like the end of the second half, and that's when he got his 2 targets on the same drive, and he looked good. Like, he got open early and often. 3K would be a great piece to use in that stack. And then if you want to, like Gerald Everett has been very impressive. You look at what he's done thus far with Keenan Allen out, 6 targets, 10 targets. 3 out of the 4 games have been double-digit DK point games. Like, he has looked good. He has functioned very well in this offense. I like him as a play. And then if you really wanted to, you could run it back with Nick Chubb going against the Chargers, who just let Dameon Pierce run all over them. And then Rex Burkhead was able to score a touchdown as well. So like, that is a way you could run it back, and that'd be a unique way in which you could run it back as well. So I do feel like we are taking one more step too far with this stack of going against the Detroit Lions, but you could, okay? I wouldn't suggest playing Bailey Zappi, but the route that I would go is potentially you could get away, I think, with doing Damian Harris and Stevenson, okay? I like Stevenson the most. We're just going to put him in there for now. And then, like, looking at this game, like, the Titans both get a pretty solid match. We get Hunter Henry with Jonnu Smith out. You know, his production should go up a little bit. I don't mind him. You could pay up for TJ Hawkinson going against the Pats, especially with St. Brown potentially being out. Like, that's going to create some value once again. You could play him. And that's what we need to monitor. Like, will St. Brown be active? Will Josh Reynolds be active? DJ Chark has been ruled out, which is huge. Okay, that should mean that value play Tom Kennedy is going to step up and play a lot of snaps once again. He played 80% of the snaps last week, and this is if St. Brown is out, just so you know. Like, he would be a great value play. 5 targets last week, 8.4 DK points. He would make for a great stacking piece in this game, and then you could potentially do Jared Goff if you want. Although I worry about Jared Goff. I think that efficiency is going to go down. 6.1 is not too bad of a price point just yet. A unique way to game stack. I don't love the stack. I wouldn't suggest the stack too much. Maybe just 1 build or 2 builds if you're doing 20 build. And then kind of the last stack here is going to be the Dallas stack going against the LA Rams, because the LA Rams passing defense has struggled and their rush defense is the best in the league currently. So it does make sense for them to pass the ball, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I don't like Cooper Rush in any situation other than a stacking situation, because I just don't see him getting to over 20 DK points. Like, sure, he's been a solid NFL backup quarterback, a solid game manager. Okay, let's just call it what it is. Can he score 17 DK points once again? Probably. Like, I'll put him in this stack for stacking purposes, but you're going to see you will have value left over, and then you could just pay up elsewhere at the quarterback spot. So from there, let's just say that Zeke and Pollard, don't do well given the matchup. Then you could easily go CeeDee Lamb, who's just been a target hog, been really dominant the last 3 weeks. I like him a lot as a play. Currently questionable. I do expect him to play. You got Michael Gallup, who played 65% of the snaps last week. Didn't get targeted too much, but did score a touchdown. I expect those both to go up. I expect the playing time to go up. I expect the targets to go up. At 5K, that's just a great price point for Michael Gallup. I like that a lot. And then Noah Brown. Noah Brown still saw a lot of snaps. And maybe him and Michael Gallup flip-flop their snap count. Maybe Noah Brown plays 70% and Michael Gallup plays about 80%. Whatever. But still, at 4.9, that's a cheap price point. He's seen over 5 targets per game. Still had 9.1 DK points last week. Like, you're not dead in the water with Noah Brown. Like, sure, you need them all to hit to have a really awesome GPP, but this is a path that could cash. Dalton Schultz, if you wanted to, I wouldn't say play him, but if you want to switch him in there instead of one of the other 3 running backs, you could. And then it's simple, guys. You just run it back with Tyler Higbee. Just been playing way too many snaps. And then Cooper Kupp. I mean, they've both been playing like 95% of the snaps, both getting targeted a ton. Obviously, Cooper Kupp's a stud. I don't need to explain that to you guys. Just a nice, solid, unique game stack. If it goes off, which Vegas, it's a middle of the road game, you could easily stack this game. I don't mind it. But that's all I have for you guys for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing.